Today Baba tells us that we have become sensible. In the whole world, souls are insensible, and we children are sensible. Now, what is the definition of sensibility? Sensibility is doing the right thing at the right time. So, because karma is related to time, no act can be said as, can be labeled as right or wrong if we don't know the time in which it is done. For example, if I asked you, is switching on the lights right karma or wrong? Then if it is night time, then switching on the light is the right thing to do. But if it is the daytime, then switching on the light is a foolish thing to do. And it is similar for switching off the light. If you switch off the light at night, then somebody might fall in darkness. But if you switch off the light in the day, then you're saving electricity. So it is always, karma is very dependent on the context in which it is done. And time is one context of karma. And time is a very big context of karma. And you cannot understand karma, or you cannot distinguish between good karma, bad karma, if you do not have the idea of time. And sensibility means doing the right thing at the right time. And you see that giving medication to somebody when they are sick is the right thing to do, but giving a medication to somebody who is not sick can kill them. So that same act can be so wrong if it is not done at the right time. So if you look at the difference between medicine and drugs, that is the difference. So Shiv Baba tells us that I give you the knowledge of time. I am the one who gives you the knowledge of the Creator and creation. And I give you the knowledge of the beginning, middle and end of this cycle. I give you the knowledge of the time cycle. One of the most important part of knowledge that Baba gives us is the knowledge of the cycle, the knowledge of time. And have you noticed that the cycle is depicted like a clock? And in that clock, so this is a time cycle. And Baba gives us the knowledge of the various phases of time in the cycle. And then Baba tells us what happens at different times of the cycle. And where are we right now? And what do we need to do right now? So Baba today gives us the title of Swadarshan Chakradhari. So we are the ones who know the time cycle. We know our journey, Swadarshan. We can see our whole journey. We can see our past, present and future. And having known our journey, having known our past, present, and then future. So when we know the cycle, we know two things primarily. First thing, who was I? What has been my journey? What has been the story of my 84 births? So the awareness of who you are or who you were or who you've been gives you the awareness of what is latent in you. Yes, so when we are reminded of what we have been in or what we have done in all the past yugas, it reminds us of our capability, of what we are capable of. And Baba gives us a very good phrase, Smriti se samarthi. Smriti means awareness and samarthi means capability. So awareness of our past births, awareness of our journey in the 84 births gives us the capability to be that again. Because until and unless I remember that I was a deity soul and I played my deity part for 21 births, so for 2 yugas, for half the cycle, I have played the part of absolute purity. Until and unless I remember that, I will not have the capacity to become pure again. So first thing is the awareness of time, the awareness of this time cycle gives us the awareness or gives us the the experience of what I am capable of. Then the second thing is, what time is it now? And then what do I want to become? Or the awareness of time or tells us that what time is coming. Yes, so for example, when you plan your day keeping what's coming ahead. Yes, so what time will you get up depends on what time will you go to work for, or what time do you have to do other things. So planning ahead is an aspect of knowing the time. And Baba says that I tell you what time it is now and what time is going to come. And in accordance with that, what is the right thing to do now? So let's take one example. So this is a world of impurity, right? And purity, honesty, or maybe many other values, if you look at, they don't work a lot in this world right now. Yes, can you achieve a lot by being pure and honest in this world? You may not. Yes, and I remember there was this one brother, and he's into modeling, and he told me that you don't know the dynamics of our job, and the more impure I am, the more projects I will get. Yes, so he said that my job is all about skin show, and I am a model, and so these are his words. I am not saying anything about the job, but that is what he said. He said that the more I attract people with the body and the more I induce impurity, the more projects I get and the more money I earn. And so, when I listen to this gyan of purity, if I follow this gyan, then I have to compromise a lot on my income and my possibilities and opportunities. So then I told him, it's your choice to make, because you see, the right thing to do is not with regard to just this time, but when you know the past, present and future, and then when you're Trikaldarshi and you decide what is the right thing to do at this time, then you will be in benefit, because you may earn income right now following the path of impurity, but then that income will be perishable. But the income you will earn by creating the sanskars of purity will give you imperishable income of 21 births. So it is your choice to make. So Baba says, I give you the knowledge of time. I make you Trikaldarshi. And when you choose your actions, keeping in view, what will be the effect or consequence of this action for me in the coming 21 births. When you choose your actions according to that sensibility, then you are sensible. Yes, so Baba says that now that you are sensible, choosing purity is not a big deal for you, because now you understand that by being pure, you are claiming the inheritance of 21 births. So then purity is something very natural, and you also know that you've been pure for 21 births. So purity comes naturally to you and you're very interested in purity. And giving up impurity doesn't feel a lot, it doesn't pinch you a lot, because you then understand that this impurity will cost me my 21 births. Yes, and then when you make this calculation and you are sensible, so a sensible person calculates well. So you calculate what is the loss of not following Shrimat and what is the gain of following Shrimat, and then purity makes complete sense to you. But so there is this very beautiful saying that this is a saying about change, and it's a very beautiful saying and I really like it. It says, people only change when the cost of not changing is greater than the cost of changing. Yes, so this is the only thing that brings about change. When the cost of not changing is greater than the cost of changing. And when we understand, when we are sensible enough, when we get this knowledge of this cycle in my intellect, when I understand this knowledge of this cycle in my intellect very well, and I understand what will be the cost of not choosing Shrimat and what will be the gain of choosing Shrimat, then choosing Shrimat becomes a very natural choice for me. And if you look at other people in the world who have no sense of how there is a pure world coming, and how if they don't choose purity at this time, it's going to cost them their births in Satyug and Treta Yug. if they don't understand that, then they fight for impurity, and they are so interested in becoming impure, and they feel like a life of purity is a very boring life, and you are kind of, what do you say, like you are abstaining yourself from something which is very nice and very attractive and lucrative. But when you understand this cycle of time, then purity makes complete sense to you. And Baba says, this is why you are sensible. And then Baba says that, so one thing is doing the right thing at the right time. So one thing is time, and second thing is, what is the right thing to do? And you see, the right thing to do depends on how much you know. So, knowledge is also an aspect of sensibility. It is said, you know better, you do better. Yes, if you don't know, you can't do. So, let's say I don't know so these days, there's so much knowledge about health and nutrition and other stuff which was not available earlier. So then even if people, so I remember that when we were growing up, so the sign of good palna was that you're overfed and overnourished. And then these days children, parents think that the balanced and diet and nutrition, and these are the signs of good palna. So all of these things are changing. Why? Because knowledge changes the way you look at actions. Knowledge, when you know better, you do better. And Baba tells us that when you think you are a body, yes, then you think about the bodily relations, and the bodily relations are not fulfilling the duties that you think are your duties in bodily relations, makes you have moral dilemma. So when you think you are a body, because you don't know more than the body, so you think you are a body, and then when you think you are a body, then your bodily relations and the way you are taught to fulfill your duties in those bodily relations, they are the things that make sense to you. So, this husband consciousness, wife consciousness, or this whole dynamic between father, son, daughter, all these things, parents, children. So we are so consumed by it, and morality, all the morality comes in. And I remember there was this, so what is morality? In the absence of spiritual knowledge, you only have access to morality. So morality is more about the code of conduct that human beings have designed for other human beings. And human beings are body conscious. So in body consciousness, we have been given certain code of conducts to adhere to when we are coming into bodily relations and actions. And then we think that those are the duties and responsibilities that I have, and I have to fulfill them. And I remember there was this one Mata, and she said that when I heard the Gyan about purity, and I thought about choosing purity, then I had this thought that, am I not committing a sin? So I said, why did you have this thought? So she said, because I have been taught that fulfilling the sensual desires of the husband is the duty of the wife. And now when I think of that, I'm going to choose the life of purity, then I had this dilemma that maybe I'm committing a wrong act or a sin by not fulfilling the sensual desires of my husband. So you see, when you think you are the body, then when you're body conscious, then all the morality attached to bodily relations, these moralities weigh very heavy on your intellect, and the intellect chooses and discerns according to that morality. And you see, in morality we have been taught that whatever the father says, the child must obey. Yes, and we have the example of even Sri Ram obeying blindly what his father said. And then we are said not to even discern, not to even think about whether what the father is saying is right or wrong, but just blindly do what he says. And then, when the father says that you must get married or you must follow the path of impurity, and then the child makes a decision that I don't want to follow the path of impurity, and then the father says, but then you will be cursed because you are not fulfilling my wishes, or I will be very unhappy if you do this. Then the child has a moral dilemma, and he thinks that all this while it was because this morality is taught to us, and this morality becomes such a part of the intellect. So the intellect is like a GPS, and the intellect will guide you what is wrong, what is right. And when the intellect is far away from the truth, and the intellect is coded with morality, then the intellect kind of guides you into right and wrong according to morality. And then when Baba comes, Baba tells us that no, you are not a body, and you don't have a duty towards bodily relations. So these duties that you have been told, duties of a son or daughter or parents or spouse, the part of those duties that corresponds to vices are not actually duties. And Baba says, okay, there are certain duties you have, like the parents have taken care of you, so taking physical care of them or giving them the medication or whatever they need in old age, that's your duty. But following the path of vices because they will get upset, that's not your duty. And even with regard to the spouse, you see, the spouse and it's a family, so we all live together, so we all have a contribution to make. So the husband earns, brings food to the table, so it's my duty to cook it and serve well and maintain the house and do stuff. But it is not my duty to give in to the vices of the husband, or it is not the duty of the husband to fulfill the sensual desires of the wife. So these are not our duties. But Baba says it's all packaged, like you can't distinguish one from the other. And when Baba comes, he tells us that you are all souls, and your relationship with every soul is that of a brother and brother. So you are my children, and Baba says, I am Shiv Baba, I don't have a body, I am bodiless. You are a soul, you are also bodiless. Because you are bodiless, you are genderless. So because you don't have a gender, so you are a brother to each other. Because every soul is genderless, so brother are. So, and what is the duty of one brother to the other? So love and respect is the duty of one brother to the other. And then Baba says, when I come and adopt you through the mouth of Brahma Baba, then you are adopted with bodies. So then you are the children of one parent, and then you are brothers and sisters to each other. And Baba says, this is your relationship with each other. You are not husband and wife, you are either brother and brother according to the soul, knowledge of the soul, or you are brother and sister because you belong to one Brahma Baba. And Baba says, when you understand this, then you can choose purity, because when you know better, you do better, you make sensible choices. When you don't have knowledge, you are insensible, and then you think what is the wrong thing to do makes sense to you. So impurity makes sense to you, and people think that this is not a sin, this is my duty. But Baba says, when you understand that your only relationship with other souls is either your brother and brother according to your relationship with Shiv Baba, or brother and sister because you're Brahma Baba's children. So then you have this attention that I have a pure relationship with every soul, and there is no obligation of impurity. So there is love and respect, there is care, there is the sense of belonging, there is acceptance, but there is no obligation of any vice. There is no obligation of fulfilling anybody's wishes, desires. And Baba says, when you understand this, then you choose purity, because doing the right thing at the right time, sensibility comes when you know the right thing to do, and when you know the knowledge of the time. And then Baba today says that the biggest act of charity or the biggest good karma is giving anyone the introduction of the Father, giving Baba's introduction to anybody. And you see, yesterday somebody had sent me a video of one girl who is very poor, and she goes to a beauty parlor, and she's a, I think, 5 or 6 year old girl, and the beauty parlor owner, she looks at her hands, and those hands are dirty, and she's a rag picker. And then this beauty parlor owner, she cleans her hands and she dresses her up well, and then she puts makeup on her, and the girl is very happy to see her face in the mirror at the end. And then everybody is appreciating that beauty parlor owner because she has given this girl a makeover, and she has made her feel beautiful for some time. But then I was just thinking, what when she walks out of that parlor? She is going to again pick rags, right? She is going to be a rag picker again. So when we look at these acts of limited happiness, giving limited happiness to somebody, we are very impressed. We feeding somebody, giving somebody clothes, or giving somebody blankets. But you see, the blanket you give will last for one season. What about the next season? The food you give will last for one meal, and what about the next meal? Then again, that person will be back to being a beggar. And then what? So if you really understand the truth, you will understand that these acts of giving limited happiness to somebody is just about feeding your own ego. You know, when somebody donates to a beggar, they think that my seat in Swarg is being booked. It's not about bringing benefit to that other person really, because their reality can't change like that. And Baba says, you want to really change somebody's reality, you want to really change somebody's fortune, then the point from which the creation of fortune starts is thought. Yes, thought, feelings, attitude, action, habit, personality, relationships, destiny. This is how fortune is created. And how do you change a thought? A change in thought is preceded by change in awareness. So let me give you the whole chain. Awareness, attitude, thought, feeling, action, habit, personality, relationships, destiny. So Baba says, you want to change somebody's destiny? It is not as easy as putting nail paint on somebody's nails. It starts with making the arrangement for somebody to know themselves, to know Baba, and then remember Baba and burn their sins and change their awareness from I am a beggar to I am a giver. And when they start giving, when they start, doing something, taking baby steps of effort, that is when they lay the foundation of a change in destiny. You cannot get anything by getting anything. You can get anything by giving. So, the only way to get is to give. But the first thing is you have to change your awareness from being a beggar to a giver, from being incapable to capable. So, when you think you are incapable, what you will become is more and more incapable. And any incapable person cannot be happy. So, Baba says, teach everybody who they are, who they belong to. Change their awareness, fill that soul with knowledge and power. Teach them how to, listen to the Murli, have a connection with Baba. And Baba is the only source of light and might. So Baba says the only punya karma that exists in the world is giving somebody the introduction of the soul and God. And telling them, or bringing them to this place of awareness that Baba has come and I need to study from Baba, belong to Baba and fill myself with strength and power. Just think about the time we came to Baba and how Baba has shaped us into these, full of self-worth, confidence, powerful souls. And just think about how Baba can change the destiny of every soul. So Baba says, you make arrangements at the place you are, or you become instruments to open centers. You become instruments for the operation of the existing centers. And that is where the seva of giving the introduction of Baba is being done. And when you do that, then that is punya karma. And Baba says that this is sensibility. And what you think is punya karma is not punya karma. That is all insensible. You think that, you are going to go to heaven because you did some good karma. No, you can't go to heaven by giving some limited happiness to somebody. This is the only way to make somebody full of happiness for 21 births. And then Baba tells us that when you know the value of time, do you know that Baba says that this is the time when I, the soul, create my fortune for the next 21 births. So every second of this time is very important. And Baba says, when you are sensible, you will not waste this time. You will use every second to remember Baba. Because this time, Sangam Yugi time, every second spent in Baba's remembrance is making you earn an income for the next cycle. So any sensible soul never wastes his time. Any sensible soul never uses his thought to think about what someone else is doing or what is happening in the outside. They use their time and thought to remember Baba. And Baba says, when you spend your time thinking about people and events, or when you use your time thinking about, wasting it in talking to people about wasteful stuff, that is very insensible. And Baba says, those who are sensible, they would not mind any storm or losses also. But even if there is a big loss, even if there is a big storm, they would only think about whether I was in remembrance or not, because they know the only loss at this point of time is not being in remembrance of Baba. Other things are going to go anyway, so what is loss and gain in that? So Baba says this is the sign of sensibility. And those who are sensible, purity becomes normal, natural for them. They will always do the charitable act of, becoming an instrument to bring souls closer to Baba. And then those souls who are sensible will never waste their time and thought, because Sangam Yugi time and thought is the most precious. And the only loss in Sangam Yuga is the loss of time and thought. That time and thought not spent in Baba's remembrance is the only loss. Okay, Om Shanti.